gentlemen, episode 15. We're back with the NBA edition. I got my new co-host with me, Marcus. Marcus, say what up to everybody.
What's good, y'all? Nice to meet y'all.
All right, what's up? What's up, Marcus? Man, I'm excited, man, for this new up and coming NBA season. Uh, it seemed like it was just yesterday, though, man. That NBA season flies around. So hopefully, OKC got had their little fun. It's time. It was a little. I wasn't rooting for him, but I'm glad. Shea played a heck of a season. So shout out to OKC for being a young squad too, to be able to run through the league, man, and do it with nice fashion.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, man. We're gonna kick this episode 15 off, man. We know tomorrow is the first official NBA media day. So yes, the NBA season's right around the corner. As you know, we rocking Lakers. I know you a Laker fan, so we got a little work to do, and I know we on two different fences on that Laker team too. We'll talk about that as we go, though. We're gonna jump off and start it off again. Piggybacking off of OKC. They are coming in as the defending champs. Doesn't look like they really made too many moves. They re-signed their big three during the summer, so that's their big moves. What do you feel like going into this season with OKC?
Honestly, I think this next season, OKC is primed for a repeat. I only really see a handful of teams challenging them out west, um,
Mm,
and it's way less teams that have the ability to challenge them out east with all the injuries to the star players. I think the teams that could really give OKC a run for their money are Houston, San Antonio, Minnesota, and the Lakers, depending on if the Lakers make any more moves at the big man position.
I agree. I agree with that. I actually agree with that. I got OKC repeating out of that. My two teams in the West that I'm looking out, of course, is the Lakers, but I'm looking at Denver. Denver to me made some moves in the summer, to really add a little bit more depth to them. I think that that's going to be the team OKC will probably have to get through in order to repeat that. And they went 7 games last year, so it'll be a dogfight between Denver and OKC, and of course, and I'm with you with the Lakers as well. They do need some more help at that big man position. I don't understand what's up with Jackson Hayes. I don't know. Can Luca turn him into a lively? I don't know. So. Yeah, that'll be fun to see. So with OKC, you got them repeating. I got them repeating. You mentioned about the injuries in the East. I agree that is going to help OKC as well. With leading us into our next topic, we had the Achilles tear. I can relate a little bit to this. A few years ago, I tore my Achilles, and I'm not no professional athlete, but I will say I've never been the same. Now, hopefully, with those, you got Halliburton, Tyrese Halliburton, you got Jason Tatum and Lillard, Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard and Tatum don't, well, none of these three really rely on athleticism. I would say Halliburton is a little bit more on the, irk and jerk and speed up and down. So he may need to just definitely take it a little bit. They all need to take it slow, but him in particular, with the way his game is predicate, he may be the one affected the most with that type of an injury. So that'll be something to look out for. With Jason Tatum and the Celtics, him being out, it leaves Jalen Brown in the front seat, leading the show. How you think Boston will do with Tatum out this year?
I definitely don't see Boston falling off like the face of the earth. I definitely think they are still a high caliber team, a high caliber organization. I could see them falling somewhere around 4 and 5 in the East. I definitely don't see them being in the top three, relying solely on Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown has some deficiencies in his game that will be made more apparent now that Jason Tatum's out and he has to take that number one spot.
I totally with you on that. I noticed that against that New York when Tatum actually went out. It's like Jalen is limited. I really don't look. I don't think he's a very good passer. I mean, he's just not very good as far as getting his teammates involved. I would like to actually, I think they go as far as he goes, but even with him running the point, that's not to take away Derek White and Pritchard, but having him be your best ball, creator. I think if they could get him into that role, but that's one of his weaker roles because his handle ain't that sharp. Going left, as you know, there's been a lot of memes and things like that on him. So going left and just ball handling ain't his strength. But hopefully, definitely during this time off, he was able to kind of work on that on his game. But I am with you. I think there are some deficiencies in his game. The Celtics now will see just how this will be the first time I really think we'll say, hey, Tatum is the number one option. Now, a lot of people can't already say that, but I've heard, there's been other, shows around that had Jaylen Brown as the best player on the team, Finals MVP. I mean, yeah, that ain't me, but that narrative has been out there. So I think we're going to finally see that this guy is the number two option. And I'll go, a step further. It's gonna let the market know too, just about how they pay guys. Because yes, he's the number two option, but he's not a he's not a $300 million player to me. I don't like the fact that none of the NBA gives their second options that type of max money because it's going to handicap the team. That's neither here nor there. But I do think Jaylen Brown's he's gonna have to. I mean, he's going to play All Star MVP level to be in that top. You think they'll make the play? You think they'll be a top six team in the East?
Yeah, I have no doubts about the Celtics being the top six team in the East. Because even when you look at the landscape of the Eastern Conference, your real contenders next year will probably be Miami, uh, or not even Miami actually,
Orlando,
Milwaukee, New
Milwaukee.
York,
Okay.
Orlando, and Cleveland again. So I don't see Boston finishing outside of that top six. I don't feel like
Atlanta
any other.
is Atlanta better than them?
I can't necessarily say that yet. I'll have to see it. Atlanta has lived in the play-in conference within the
That's a
last
fact.
2 or 3 years, so
Yeah,
I can't really put them over Boston until they've shown me that they've surpassed them as a team.
that they surprised. No, I'm with you on that. And so we got Indiana falling out of that top six.
Yeah, with the injury to Halliburton and then the loss of Miles Turner, I could definitely see Indiana having a down year.
Who they replaced with Miles? Who they still got what was his name? Thomas Bryant.
I'm pretty sure they still have Thomas Bryant, and I'm taking a look at their
They got
roster.
Thomas
Yeah,
Bryant and what was his name? Bradley. He played a little bit
yeah,
of minutes.
Tony Bradley. They have
Tony
Tony.
Bradley.
Yeah, and then they signed Isaiah Jackson to a 3-year, $21 million deal.
He was hurt a little bit last year, but he's not going to move the needle. Um, yeah, losing Miles that's definitely going to hurt. And like you mentioned earlier with Milwaukee, that's gonna help them. Probably get in that top six in the East for sure. Man, with Lillard, now we're transitioning to Damian Lillard. Um, him leaving Milwaukee, going back to Portland. So with the acquisition of Miles Turner on the Bucks, Damian Lillard leaving, are they better? Well, I can't say they're better, but I honestly think that the way that their play style will fit that team better without Damian Lillard. What you think?
I definitely agree. I think Miles is a better. It's a strong to say a better fit, but I think Miles fits their identity in the fact that you're adding a guy who is a defender who can rim protect, and especially a tandem of him and Giannis. Giannis likes to drive the ball more, but Miles is also a stretch five. So
Right.
Giannis has another guy that he can kick the ball out to on drives, but also a guy that he can trust on defense. Whereas Dame, you're relying on Dame to give you somewhere between 20 and 25. Dame was virtually non-existent on defense.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, and that's just so shocking being in the East, and that being the kind of the factor where in the West all those years up against those point guards. But I mean, I get it. Age factors in, and just I get it, but I will say, man, being a Damian Lillard fan, I didn't like the way I didn't like these last couple years with Milwaukee, and it sucks because had they figured it out, like that's a top two duo in the NBA, if not the top duo. Being a guard and a big man. Um, I will put a little blame on Giannis, maybe not figuring it out. As far as we mentioned. We mentioned Jalen Brown adding. I'm not saying Giannis has deficiencies in his game, but it let me know that there are some areas that had he had when you get a certain guard like that, the ball handling should limit down just a little bit. Where and because he still he played the same way. He played, there wasn't nothing, there wasn't no throw it down to him in the post. There was not that. I mean, they barely ran the pick and roll. Effective as they should. But when they did, I know that their numbers was, they had a high ratio of scoring on pick and rolls throughout the NBA. I don't really know why that wasn't capitalized a lot, but then again, I know that's coaching, that's Doc Rivers. I do think it's time to get Doc up out of there for Milwaukee. I think it's time for some fresh blood over there. That just holds the last 2 years from Adrian Griffin being gone, getting Doc, um, trading away everybody, Middleton, Drew. I mean, dude, it just didn't. They never was able to put it together, and I think that did take a toll on Damian Lillard. I don't think he had enough pieces over there like they should have with a player like Giannis. But I do think with Miles Turner being a younger Brook Lopez, I think they'll be all right. I think they got what's his name, Porter. I think he'll
Bobby
be priced.
Portis.
Yeah, they still got Bobby Porter's as far as point guard though. What's his name? Lefty.
Kevin Porter Jr.
Kevin Porter Jr. This is going to be a big time for him to shine too, and show what he's got. And his creativity is a little bit more, saucier, younger legs. So if he can focus on creating and just focus on letting the game come to him, I think he can have a breakout year for them as well. But back to Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard went back to Portland. I did like to see that. I'm a little old school. I like to see the players, that are loyal to the one team. I don't like the moving around unless they come to you. That's different. But I'm glad Dame is back. I think he's glad to be back. Um, I actually think when he finally comes back, I think we're gonna see the old Dame for another couple years, just because of he's going through things personal. He's back in his comfort zone. I just think you'll see a different Damian Lillard back from that Achilles injury. And again, like we mentioned earlier in the show, he's the type of player where I don't think that Achilles is gonna hold him back from shooting the ball.
Yeah, I definitely don't disagree with Dame being happy with being in Portland. I think at this point in his career, Dame has reached
Mm,
contentness within himself, with like he's okay with what his NBA career is and what it will be when it comes to history and legacy. I definitely don't think Portland is contending anytime soon, just
no,
with how the roster is currently constructed. I do think though the Achilles will have some form of wear on him in reference to his burst in getting by people, because when he comes back, he will be a year older, and as a guard, you need to be able to get by people or be crafty. And Dame has never been like a jump out the gym athlete or like a speedy guard, but uh, we'll be remiss to see how the Achilles takes an effect on his burst and his ability to go by others, because that's something we really saw him struggle with at various points this year. And even in that Indiana series, like they were testing his ability to go side to side and defend, or his ability to get around defenders. They were testing his feet. They were making Dame work.
I agree. You right on that. You made me think of and this is it's crazy how it works, but his head coach, Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups being a smaller guard, Chauncey Billups tore his Achilles. I think, man, if anybody that can kind of get you to make up for that lack that you're mentioning, you because you are absolutely right. I agree with that. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Especially that burst being a year older, and just how we know Dame to be. I mean, him and Chauncey didn't come in the league playing the same, but like, yeah, we know that Dame is, he used that speed and that irk and jerk to get by, even to pull up a three. So no, I totally agree. I hope Chauncey is working with adding other parts to the game. Like, that is the part of basketball. Well, at least to me, as far as being able to, yeah, this worked for you for so long, but as a basketball player, Dame, you're not a small guy. It's time to maybe get in the post a little bit. If you're going to bring the ball up the ground, it's time to maybe back them down a little bit, get easy points, rather than so much. How you used to be, because I agree it's going to be a little tougher. But Johnson Billups won. I think he won. He may. I don't know if he won a ring after that Achilles. It could have been before. More of the story is, there is some hope for Dame, with that. But I totally agree with you. It will be an adjustment for him, getting that shot off. Them 25 30s a game, I think that's over with. And I do agree with you. I think he's at a I think he's at a content spot with the ring ain't gonna happen. I made a lot of money, and I'm a top 75. He got a top 75 jacket. Uh, I think sometimes that plays a part in these players too. When you get that money and you've already kind of been crowned, having that hunger to continue to get better and just. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think it's a battle for everybody's different. So, yes, I'm rooting for Dame though over there in Portland, man, and just being able to rub off on those young guys, man. So it'd be good to see, because I think he definitely can help those guards. They got a lot of guards over there, so maybe that'll
Yeah.
help too on the defense. Hey man, that's for sure. All right, man, we gonna kick it over to the free agency. Free agency this summer, it was a little up and down for me. I feel like, it just wasn't a bunch of splashes. But as we see the NBA going, it's going to, a lot of, not role players, but just missing pieces, to a, core that's already intact. Man, is there a particular free agent signing that's happened so far that you're like, what, that's what that team needed? Um, I like that pick that they got.
I think both of the signings that I've liked so far have come from the Houston Rockets. I think them adding Kevin Durant and Dorian Finney-Smith does goes a long way for that team, because that team was already such an elite defensive team. What they lacked is offense. And in Kevin Durant, you get a guy who's gonna give you 27 to 28 a night, who is still one of the best mid-range shooters in the NBA today, and he's efficient while doing it, shooting over 50%. Like, this guy's been a 50, 40, 90 guy multiple times throughout the course of his career. And you add him to a young and hungry defensive team, but then you also add Dorian Finney Smith, who's a 3 and D wing. And this team is long, like wingspan at every position. Guys who
They
are
are.
challenging shots and making guys work on the perimeter. And I think you insert a scorer like KD and a 3 and D guy like Dorian Finney Smith to what they already have, the Rockets can be dangerous.
I agree with you on that. I don't know if you've heard though. Fred Van Fleet suffered ACL today. Tear.
Mm.
That hurts. That changes the whole team. That right there, to me, that changes the whole. When you said Fred, man, I don't know. That had me check. Man, that sucks right there, man. That right there, that hurts them. And, dang it, man. I don't know what they. And then you get rid of Jalen Green. Ah, man, that's gonna be tough over there. So now, looking at the question of free agency is who's out there that the Rockets can look at to bring in. I think of one person, and that's Russell Westbrook. Come on, KD, you and Russell reunite. I don't know if they'll work, but I know that's a free agent out there that hasn't been signed yet. Man,
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about adding Russ to this mix, just because the Rockets need consistent shooting.
they
Um,
do.
and their roster at the guard position, they have Reed Shepard, Aaron Holiday, Cam Whitmore, and Tari Eason. So I think they need to look in the pool and try to find like a veteran shooter, since you will be missing Van Vliet for the foreseeable future, because in your entire lineup, your consistent shooter is Kevin Durant.
I agree. They did draft Reed for a reason, a number 10 pick. So hopefully he can come in the mix. He had a good summer league, so hopefully he can maybe come in and produce. But they got what, Cam Whitmore too over there. I like Cam Whitmore. He's a dog, man. Like I probably put him at the 2, but man, I feel like that's been holding KD back though these last couple years, even with Phoenix, not real true point guard. Now we're getting to the Rockets. You're gonna kind of be in the same pickle. The only difference is when it gets crunch time, you can throw it down there to big boy. So that's gonna
Oh,
alleviate
Sengun.
some. Sangoon, right? That's going to alleviate some time or ball handling responsibilities for KD to having to get off a shot and create. Because that's one thing I felt like that's why Phoenix struggles because like man, it's just an older Kevin Durant, man, and to just go out there and that the defense knows you're going out here to score, man. So I just felt like it was easier to defend in Phoenix. Coming to Houston, you're right. Like there were just a little bit more pieces. They were defensive pieces for him, and then that big man just changes. KD's never played with a big, So I think this will help. It's gonna definitely be a 2-man game with them in the pick and roll now with Fred out of there. But man, just Fred missing out, that hurts, man. Like that's gonna hurt them a little bit, man. Fred had a great playoffs against Golden State. He was at Steph as best as he could. He had. I felt like he had one of his best years after Toronto he's had in a while. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on the Rockets, man, in that situation and see what they do in that point guard pool of free agents. Man, the biggest free agent signing for me, and this is just it's nothing crazy, but it was Bruce Brown with the Nuggets. I felt like bringing in one of those core guys like that, that's gonna be able to, already won a championship with you, man. The camaraderie, chemistry, pretty much, is no different there. He's just that perfect fit for them as far as veteranship, being able to rely on that second unit because that's one thing Denver lacked. I felt like was just the bench, as much debt. They didn't have much debt last year to me, and so I'm excited to see Denver and just a piece. Just see how they get back flowing. I think this year they start off hot. I think that they definitely surrounded the Joker as far as trying to keep him happy, and that signing with Bruce that let me know that was for the Joker. As far as even if it's just relationship and just hey, we won when he was here because he does a little bit of everything, being a small 6'4", 6'5". Times he was playing the 4. Times he can run the 1. He hits down open shots. So letting go of Westbrook and bringing him in, I liked it. I think we'll notice a big difference with his signing in that second unit with Denver that will give OKC, just a good overall series. And I think one of those two teams will come out the West, and they'll meet up probably in the Western Conference Finals. Slash, Bruce is a defender, so just another body to go throw at Shea if need be. Or other teams' best, ball handling players. So that was the pickup for me that I liked. I did like Chris Paul going back to the Clippers. I thought that was cool. Chris Paul, looks like we lost Marcus. Marcus will be back to us though. Looks like Chris Paul back to the Clippers. I felt like this is his last hoorah. And they also needed a point guard on that second unit. I think James Harden, of course, he is the transition to a point guard. But being able to, being able to give him that break, being able to give him, relieve him of those point guard duties a little bit on that second unit, I think that's going to help them. Marcus, what's up, man? I was talking about Chris Paul back with the Clippers. I liked that acquisition for the Clippers. Just as far as CP has some good years with them back with Lob City. I think he'll help that second unit out. As far as playing that second unit. I like the fact also that they who did they also kept who's the small forward they got, the dunker.
John Collins.
They, man, that's man, Chris Paul going that's going to elevate his game. That Chris Paul finna get him paid off of lobs, if he's not starting. But either way, just the athletes that the Clippers have with a Chris Paul, I think they'll get a lot of easier buckets at the rim. There'll probably be less one-on-one action and more movement. I think he'll help Kawhi out tremendously too, taking care of a little bit of those of the ball handling responsibilities, and just in general, man. There's be some nights where Chris Paul can start, and you feel just pure confidence. You get a little different game than James Harden when he's in there. I did think at first, before the signing happened, I was like, man, James Harden and Chris Paul don't get along like that, like. But I mean, it's basketball, and I hope to actually see them, because they was a game away from the Rockets beating the Warriors that year in that game 7. So it'd be nice to see if they can, pull something off this year, minus get past the Lakers. But I like the Clippers team. I like the fact that, or a lot of people give them heck because they're young. I mean, they're older, but I think they're just right. I think they got a good mix, got good coaching. We don't know what's going on with Kawhi and Steve Ballmer, but I think the Clippers had a good free agency this year, as far as bodies, and I think they're a team that's trying to get OKC out of there as well.
Yeah, I definitely love the addition of John Collins. I think John Collins is a guy who he's an 18-9, 19-9 guy. He'll be somewhere around there. A younger, athletic guy to go along with Zubac. The Chris Paul and Bradley Beal signings, I'm very iffy on though, just
Yeah, me too.
because Brad Beal at this point, uh, he's a scorer. Brad was never a defender, but even his scoring doesn't come as consistently as it once did. And in a conference like the West, at your guard position especially, you're gonna need some defense. You're gonna have to stop those elite guards like a Luca, a Ja Morant, an Anthony Edwards, a Shea, like a Steph. You have to have somebody who can guard those guys. And at the Clippers guard positions, you have Bradley Beal, Chris Paul, and James Harden. The majority of your guard positions don't defend the perimeter.
Offense. Yeah. No, you right on that. Let alone don't care about defense. And then that puts Kawhi out there to have to do that, and once he has to start playing defense like that, he gets injured. So it's like, no, I see you on. I definitely see that on there. But they had him. I think of though, was Norman Powell's defense that much up than Bradley Beal? So if you lose Norman Powell, I feel like that was a good replace for Brad to come over there. I don't know, man. I'm rooting for Brad this year. I think Phoenix. You right, man. It didn't look good. He had a quiet 18 a game. I didn't think that brother had 18 a game. This is how off the Phoenix Suns looked with Brad at times, man. But I think, man, with the Clippers, and again, man, with the Chris Paul, if Brad can get back to, man, his best times was with John Wall in a way. You know what I'm saying? He had a guard that really can facilitate for him, and he can get back to playing the two that he's naturally at. So I will, and he did play that defense. They looked at him as a defender over in Phoenix. I don't know what he'll do, over there, but I think he will be asked to your point. They have no really defenders over there, man. He's probably their best option at the guard position on defending side, and that says a lot. So, man, that'll be exciting to see what they do with that team and that not as much youth over there. Who else we got over here, man? So we got let's kick in though, man, to the Lakers, man. You mentioned about getting another big. We got DeAndre Ayton in free agency. Did that move the needle for you?
Honestly, I think it did. It did something. I think it did very little though. I think DeAndre Ayton is a great guy to have. Like he's obviously your starting big. He's a guy who will go get you 16-9, 16-10, just about. Um, I think he'll definitely be Luca's favorite lob threat to start.
Hmm.
And obviously, as that chemistry compounds, like they can become better. But I think the Lakers need an additional big because for whatever reason, Jackson Hayes' confidence became shot at the end of last year, and I definitely think that came from JJ Redick's use of him in rotations, but also his quickness to pull him out of games. So we'll have to see where Jackson's mental lies as the season starts, and then should it become a need again or become very apparent, I believe the Lakers do need to add another big or another 3 and D guy to make me feel comfortable with like, okay, like this team is substantially better than last year.
I agree with that. I do think, um, and Aiton is not that. He's not that throw it down to the post, back you down type of player that I thought coming out of Arizona he would be. And I get it, your roles change in the NBA, and they ask of you to do things. But to your point, like he's just turning into a lob threat in regards and rebounding. Um, One thing I don't like, I've noticed with players like LeBron James, particularly, is like having that big down there clog up the paint turns him into a jump shooter, and it prevents him from getting his little easy buckets penetrating. So, every time we have a big that's just limited down there, I'm not happy with that myself. I just don't like that stagnant. There's no movement. But maybe with JJ he can kind of bring DeAndre out, because DeAndre can't hit the midi. He has that in there, but it's not something he's wanting to do, or it may not even be something that he even gets a chance to doing with Reeves, Luca, and LeBron taking, and yeah, running the offense through them. Speaking of Reeves, I don't know what the heck he was doing, turning down that money.
Uh, I'm not sure. I think Austin's at this point he's betting on himself and what he can prove this year. I think this year will say a lot for each of the Lakers' big three. I feel like they all are coming back with a chip on their shoulder. Uh, Austin, he didn't have the best exit given that series against Minnesota, where
Minnesota, yep,
Anthony Edwards and a lot of the Minnesota guards really decided to pick on Austin Reeves.
the
Um,
facts.
I think it's at that point for him now where, like, next season, like, it's a make or break season. It'll determine how much money he gets going into next summer.
I He's definitely betting on himself. Man, it's gonna be tough, man, because I know the money he turned down. It was like, man, that's really what I think you're around. That 3 4 year 90 mil. I mean, that's you average under 20. I don't. And then you got Kaminga. Kaminga's fighting for scraps. Kaminga has won a ring, over there with the Warriors. So it's just sometimes betting with yourself. Man, and I know you're right. Like, yeah, you can lose too at the same time. But it's just like knowing your situation. Like, I'm picking off of Austin Reeves over to Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas, it's like, man, they offered you 4 year 100, or you know they're offering you that 4 year 80, whatever, 20 $25 million range, and you're not taking that. And it's just like, man, you rather take that qualifying offer and just put up jack up shots, and the Nets ain't gonna go nowhere. Like, they're not gonna reward. The NBA is not rewarding losing anymore. Like, you're gonna have to produce for you to get that bag. That's just the way it's transpired. At least the way I look at it. Same thing with the Jonathan Kaminga situation. It's like, but I get his situation because in technicality, he knows that if he signs that good or that team friendly deal, they're just gonna trade him, and he doesn't know where he gets to go. I get that. It's just get your money while you can, man. Like, I don't understand. I just don't get it, man. It's just I don't know. And maybe they're doing what the NFL players do, taking out those insurance policies, and if they do get hurt, they may be doing that. But it's just like, man, take that market, now, and then 3 years, sign a 3+1, and get back out there in free agency when the salary cap's only rising. I just read something. I think it increased this summer again. So I don't know, man. There's a lot of money out there, but one thing I do know is they're not rewarding losing. So Austin Reeves is definitely gonna have to be an all-star this year, though, man, to get that bag. So it'll be exciting to see how they do that. I didn't like LeBron's attitude this summer. I didn't like it. I just didn't like it, man. It's just, as a Laker fan, it doesn't scream that he's invested. I think he's got his own stuff to do, rightfully so. But that's just like, man, like, and I talked to you this summer or when we was at the men's retreat, I said, hey, man, just trade LeBron at this point. And you looked at me crazy, and I get it. But it's just like, man, like, the Lakers we're gonna be in a pickle after next year when he's gone. So it's just like we don't get cap space till after that year, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just, I don't know, man. What you think about that?
I think it's with all the reports that came out about LeBron not being involved in certain team decisions and the Lakers phasing him out. I remember reading a report where the Lakers were talking about, or it came out from like the Lakers camp about getting rid of LeBron. Uh, and I do think LeBron is the kind of person where it's like he feels like he has given you a lot and he has tried to give you a lot for the best interest of the team and to promote winning within the franchise. And so to be kind of like phased out when he's still producing at a high level, I can't get how that would be jarring for somebody. Uh,
I agree.
it can leave a bit of a sour taste in your mouth. Like I just tried to give you like everything, give you all I had, and the best I had, and like now you're trying to phase me out.
Yeah, no, 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 for sure. Now I get you on that. It's like everywhere LeBron goes, though, that's that same attitude. It's like you, LeBron James, of course. That's gonna happen. One saying I hear all the time is you're never bigger than the program. So it's just like LeBron, you are, King James, but you're not bigger than the Lakes. It's yeah, I don't know, man, but I do see what you're saying, and I do believe, but let's backpedal. We did draft your son. We did we did do that, didn't we? You know what I'm saying? I, how much more you want? Well, I mean, that's a whole nother discussion about drafting your son, where there was quite a few players better than him, and they took care of him because you LeBron, and like you mentioned, I give you everything. And to your point, there was a couple of those seasons, man, where LeBron James not only was the best player on the team, he probably was a top, if not, some can argue he's a top 5 player now, but he was rolling, and I'm talking about balling, and then it's AD down, boom, over with. And that happened a couple times, where I know that can drain you. And to your point, LeBron still gave it. He still performed. Probably played the most games out of everybody, and he's the oldest person on the team. So no, I definitely can see the sour taste for sure. It's just, yeah, just being a Laker fan, man. It's just like, man, dude, do something, man. We get like don't be trying to play us, man. We need you at this point. Like, come on. And he knows that too. That's why he be doing that little passive aggressive stuff he does. But I get it, man. It's a business. He's doing what I said. Cam Thomas and Reeves are doing, like, or need to do. You need to get out every dime you can while you can, and I do respect that. LeBron James is average 27, so it's like, dang, you just forgetting about me, huh? For Luca, but he knew about the Luca thing coming before it happened. So it's like, man, come on, man, just relax, man. But hey, man, speaking of the Lakers, man, about the big man, though, I did see that we did draft that second rounder, Christian Coloco. Um, I was just glad we drafted a big. So I'm hoping that he can just be another body down there. He's skinny though. He's 7 foot 220. So I don't know really too much what they doing down there on that block. That's something that I've seen the NBA kind of get away from. It looks like they're trying to kind of get back, and I think we'll notice that in the next couple of years. You'll notice the bigs are going to they're coming back into the game. They're a little thicker. They're trying to look like Joker, and then that's why you got Sangoon looking the way he does. Like that's kind of the prototype I think that we'll see the bigs go towards. So it'll be exciting to kind of see what the Lakers do and if they make any more moves. I totally agree with you, man, on that. Somebody else I wanted to touch base on was the Suns. The Suns. I know they got rid of KD. They got rid of Bradley Beal. It's Book's time. Book and Jalen Green. I don't know really how that's going to work over there, but I do like a fresh start over there. New head coach. I do think James Jones. I think he's on thin ice over there. He's probably got one more shot as far as constructing the team goes. Before he's probably out of there because it just hasn't delivered. Even though he's made the big calls or being big transitions, that it just hasn't delivered. And that's the way the NBA is going, Marcus. If you're not delivering, you're out of there. You know that with the coaches in the NBA. You can win that ring like Mike Malone, and then you could be gone 2 years later. So it's letting me know it's about production. How you see the Suns and the transition they got for that KD, or I'm sorry for that Jalen Green pickup.
I honestly see the Suns around the 9 or 10 spot in the Western Conference. Outside of Devin Booker, they don't have anybody who really wows you. Jalen Green's offense is wildly inconsistent, and he's an average defender at best. You don't really have a presence at the forward position. Like their starting forward will probably be Dylan Brooks, and he's not somebody who's going to wow you like with his offense. Uh, and their big men are Nick Richards and Mark Williams, two solid athletic big men, but again, no one with a real presence. So defenses going into a game against the Suns know, okay, we're game planning for Book, and then we'll guard everybody else accordingly. I feel like outside of Devin Booker, the only one a defense may be afraid of burning them would be Jalen Green. And with his series against the Warriors, it's shown that Jalen Green's offense isn't that consistent.
No, I definitely think he has some confidence problems, but I agree with you on that. He has the potential, but if his confidence is not there, I do think he goes quiet. Um, you mentioned the bigs, man. They did grab that big man from Duke. I think at the number 9 spot. I can't say Kaman Malik. Uh, he played. Hey, he had a good summer league. I think he'll definitely get some playing time over there. Nick Richards does not move me. Mark Williams has failed every physical there is. So I do think that big man position will be wide open. But just I agree, man. Dylan Brooks doesn't wow me either. But man, everywhere he goes, though, man, he does have an aura with him, and he brings a different type of mindset on his teams. Back from Memphis, back to Houston, and and I see Phoenix at that 8-9 range. I agree with you. I can definitely see that. I see that in that range. But it's book time, man. Like again, that's the way the landscape to me is going. You're gonna have one player, and then a bunch of other players around. And if you got two, just let them, figure that out. You're going to have a little bit less role players. If you got three, there's really no role players. And I think the NBA figured that out through the Suns this year, our last couple years, that, paying those big three all that money. It doesn't translate to those winning plays like you mentioned earlier about guys that play defense, or just certain things that you need for it to go right. That's why OKC, in my opinion, they won, just due to the fact they knew the roles. They had certain players that just knew where to be at. You had Wallace, you had Wiggins. Hey, I'm spotting up 3-and-D guards or 3-and-D wings. That's just what I do. I'm not trying to get out here and get my shot off. So it's just you know it's just exciting to see those role players kind of come into their own. But one thing you'll see though is these role players, they're going to be asking for that bag. So that'll be something to watch in the next couple of years too. That these players that contributed to these winning games and championships, they're going to ask for that bag. So it'll be. I'm just liking the way the NBA landscape is going because it's making it a little bit more competitive. So that'll be cool to see, man. Um, Hey man, any other team or player that's wowed you that you got your eye on? I'm excited to see the Kaminga thing. That's one thing. Like I want to see how that goes because Kaminga has stopped a couple signings. What you think about the Warriors?
I think the Warriors have some very clear deficiencies within their roster. I have no doubts about Steph. I feel like Steph will still be Steph.
Right.
Obviously, getting sidelined with the hamstring in the playoffs wasn't fun. I feel like the Warriors have always struggled with a big man position. Draymond is
Yep.
now a year older, and his production has been steadily going down. And I think the Warriors are also kind of in a funk with this Kuminga stuff, and a funk of confusion to the report. Like when the report comes out, Jimmy's confused. Like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
where are we going from here? Um, so I think the Warriors will probably be somewhere around that 7 to 8 range as well. Uh, just viewing it right now until we have a clear play out for how the Kuminga situation is going to go.
What are you what are you thinking Kaminga should do?
I saw a report saying that Kuminga would want to play with the Sacramento Kings. And
Mm,
if I'm the Warriors, if there's any way I can get Domantas Sabonis from Sacramento in a deal that involves Kuminga, that's the deal you need. Because adding Sabonis with Steph, I feel like would greatly improve your offense because Sabonis is a quality passer at the big man position. He's a great rebounder. He's a solid defender. He doesn't shoot the three ball well, but he can step out and shoot a mid range jump shot. He's great with his back to the
yes.
basket. So Steph could throw the ball down to him, and you can get some flare screens or back screens running for Steph. And Sabonis still has the eyesight to hit him cross court or to turn face up and give him a dribble handoff and set him a screen and roll to the basket. And now Steph is getting a wide open look. And if Steph gets open looks, it opens it up for Jimmy and for Buddy Hield and the rest of the team. If there's any way you could get Sabonis in that deal, I feel like the Warriors need to figure a way to do a way out to do that.
Can you throw Moody? Would you do Moody and Kaminga for Sabonis?
Yes, just because of what Sabonis would
Me too. Yeah,
mean to
yeah,
that team, not only for
yeah.
their offense, but I feel like you that helps
Looks like we
keeps
lost Marcus again.
Steph
He'll be back, man.
fresh
He's got a
because
great
you can
point though.
trust Sabonis to handle the
Sabonis
ball.
really would. be a upgraded Draymond Green over there, as far as being a little bit more offensively weapon for them. And again, what Marcus mentioned, throwing that ball down there to him, letting him, he can get his shot down there. I mentioned a few moments ago about, the way the big man's are kind of being acclimated back into the game. Being able to throw the ball back down there to the post, being able to actually do post moves, being able to do jump hooks, being able to use your body. It looks like, there are some players still in the NBA that, do that are great at that. And I do think just the way the scouting is going, with players coming up, you're looking at players like that. It's not just so much lob threat guys, that are limited to just dunks and blocks. Prototype like a Rudy Gobert. Yes, you rebound, but you're really of offensive liability. Where other teams have potentially 3 to 5 shooters on the court. Some teams only have 2. And so, you're picking your poison with the 3 ball. It will be exciting to see what the Warriors do. As far as with the Jonathan Kuminga situation, I think that they do need to go ahead and give him what he wants. And then, yes, go ahead and trade him. We've already know that Steve Kerr doesn't want to use him. He's not a part of his rotation, his offense. Coach already said it about you. Man, I'm gone too, man. You know what I'm like? That's just no. You're ready to mess with my confidence. You're up and down on my rotation. The best thing Jonathan would have going for him is getting his money and just being ready, because injuries are a part of the game. It's your job to be ready. There's fans that's paying their hard-earned money to come in and watch the Warriors. So he does have some obligation in that regard, I feel like. But I feel him in a way he's kind of been disrespected. He's never really had an opportunity to really, really go crazy and show him he's a number 1 or number 2, type of guy. And if he has, he's not given that confidence from that coaching staff. And Steve Kerr's already let us know. I don't. Man, it's very. I can't remember the last time a coach, with a player still on your team, just come out and say, you don't see him part of your rotation, so I'm really shocked by that. Kuminga's a young, athletic wing. The game is translated to wings being athletic. I'm just, not being able to have that over there, or unhappy Kuminga. That's not going to be good for the start of the season. Tomorrow is media day. This week will determine a lot, I feel like, with the Warriors and the way he responds, his attitude. Steph will be Steph, like you said. You still got, hey, what's up, Marcus? I was just reflecting back on what you said, though, with Sabonis over there, man. That really, I said he's a more offensive repertoire than Draymond, but, he can bring that point center type of feel, being able to make those passes and get on the block and make some post moves. Oh man, that will open up Steph. That just open up the offense so much more, being able to do that. Even opening up the lane for Jimmy to being able to drive, his games, his play style. So, I'm looking at the Warriors, man. Kind of similar in that Laker position, man. They remind me of the way how Kobe went out. You got with your LeBron and Steph Curry's. They take up a lot of the salary cap and just fade off. Steph Curry, I know there's not much the Warriors can do. Him and Jimmy take up 50 to 60 million, a year on that. And, I'm happy for Steph to get his bag and take that bag, because there were so many years in that run where Steph didn't get that bag. Like, he was highly underpaid. I'm just glad. I was mentioning about just the way the Warriors contracts are structured. It's like Steph and Jimmy are taking all the money, but it's like Steph, this is his time to get his money, after all those years, he didn't get, his money, rightfully so. 2-time unanimous MVP, 4-time NBA champ. Like, hey, get your bread, man. But at the same time, how do you get galvanize these guys? How are you being a leader? And I mentioned this earlier. It's like, man, and I'll probably be worse. You know, you give me all that money. Is that passion still there? Is the drive still there? Is the commitment to winning still there? You know, and I think Steph Curry's one of those guys that's left, you know, that definitely still has that competitive edge in there. And Jimmy and Draymond, of course, going to help. They do need to figure something out. I think even if they sign Jonathan Kuminga and you can't make a move, go ahead and grab Al Horford. He'll kind of give you that little, I don't know, disrespect, knockoff Sabonis, but championship pedigree. Just, you know, he'll give you that, what I'm asking for, too. Throw it down there on the block. Al Horford, he'll bang down there on the block a little bit, you know, just kind of uh, take the pressure off Steph a little bit, man, and running around and doing all that. Just be able to throw it out there and let Steph get back to running off screens instead of so much ball handling. I think that'll help the Warriors out a little bit if they can just get a different style, playing style big. Trace Jackson, not it. Uh, I can't think of the other guy. Post, he's a stretch five. Um, and then Draymond is not a five, man. You know, it's just like, yeah, it's just not it. Yeah, he did all right against Sangoon, but it's just not it. He's a four, he's a three. You know, let him play his position because and he can't shoot. So it's like, man, like I don't get what they're doing over there, man. But it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting to see, man. Um, Man, that's we're really, man, approaching. We probably got what, about 12, about 13, 14 more hours before media day kicks off. I'm excited for the NBA season, man. I'm with you. I got OKC repeating, but hopefully the Lakers can squeeze in there. Um, Man, we appreciate everybody that's tuned in, watching. Man, me and Marcus, man, we gonna kick this NBA season off hot. You know, we can't wait for these games to start so we can start breaking down the game to you guys. You know, the X's and O's of it. Um, Man, I'm just excited for basketball to be back. Um, Marcus, anything you want to leave out on?
Uh, I'm really just excited for the NBA season. I've been watching the NBA since I was about 5 or 6 years old. This has
Yes,
always been
sir.
my favorite sport to get into and break down. I'm excited for all the new acquisitions. Like you said, I think the league is transitioning away from big threes, and now you need a quality one and two and guys who know their role.
Yeah.
So I definitely am excited to see just the evolution in the game this year because I think the finals last year was just such a great finals matchup for pure basketball. You have two teams with clear
Yes.
ones and twos and with role
Yes.
players who know how to fulfill their job and they're just duking it
Yes.
out. And it takes a game seven to decide a champion.
Man, you couldn't have said it better. And and you know what? It lets your coaches coach too, because now they can do X's and O's and things of that nature. There's no egos. Like, I mean, there's a couple, but it's just like a team type of setting. So no, man, you're right on the money, man. That's why I like Rick Carlisle with Indiana, man. He's able to coach, basketball players and put them in position where they succeed at. So, man, you couldn't have said it better, Marcus. Man, I appreciate you, man, being on the episode 15 of our first NBA edition of We Were Once Athletes. Man, we appreciate you guys for tuning in, and man, be on the lookout, man. We'll be dropping episode 16 coming up. I actually think episode 16 will be Kyle and Cody. But man, y'all see us back after this media day. NBA is on the way. Man, we appreciate y'all, man. Tune in, subscribe. We on all the platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're everywhere. Share it, share it, share it. We appreciate y'all. We'll check y'all later.
Later.